Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5. At the 2. At the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Cornbread! I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid drinkers. This is your boy Okrie, as I often say, at Derek Okrie. If you need that spelling, it's DEREKOKRIE on Twitter. Love talking Lions with you guys online. It is a Friday. We had a fun show on Wednesday. We talked about news and notes. Grifka aced the Wonderlick because he's just the smartest man on the planet. He'll tell you before anybody else will. And we unfortunately talked about the Green Bay Packer game and the Vikings, where our team took 2 L's, as we're quickly reviewing the 2019 football season to sort of get our eyes back on those and see what happened. We are here for a Friday. We've got some entertaining topics right off the top, and we're going to talk about the Giants and the Raiders. Kind of a 50-50 split, good and bad, kind of like this show. I'm the good. Well, Grifka is Grifka. Grifka, how are you, buddy?
Doing okay, man. Obviously we survived another one of the storm of the centuries that everybody talked about here in Michigan, and I know a little closer down to the Metro Detroit area. They got a little more snow, but we got a little snow up here in the in the Saginaw mid-Michigan area. But once again, with the weekend coming up, it's supposed to be in the 30s again and a little bit of sun. It is going to be chilly at night because there's no clouds there to hold the heat in. So everybody, if you're out at night, dress warm. But other than that, TGIF.
Grifka, I'm slow on the bell, but I'll obviously give it to you because I'm going to my Twitter. I don't know if I can find it. Gosh, why is I'll find it. There was a request to you, which I thought was tremendous. Let me find this before we really get rolling off the top. This was our boy Skip. Skip wanted to know, if not today, at some point, will you surprise him with a sing-along, that Friday song on the day that you love so much? Can you do that at some point for the people?
I saw that, and all I could think, I was watching it, and after about 30 seconds, I'm like, this has got to be the worst song I ever heard. I mean, I didn't know if that was supposed to be like a Disney rap or something like that, and I've heard some pretty crappy rap songs before, but geez, that one was like terrible. That was like, High School Musical rap or something. Oh gosh, it was bad. But so sorry, Skip. I mean, I could try it, but I mean, God, I'm almost afraid to try how bad that is. And don't get me wrong, I realize my Grammy hasn't come in the mail yet, but God, that was a terrible song.
Oh man, I told him that you've been known to sing on the show. He won't totally put you on the spot, but that was a big hit. Like a couple years ago, Grifka, that was all over the radio waves. They used to play it on Jim Rome as a funny gimmick. They would play that Goofy Friday song. I think it made it into a smack off on Jim Rome at some point as kind of a funny gimmick. So I thought it was a good pull by Skip. And who knows? Not today. Make Skip wait. Maybe someday after you've practiced, you got your home karaoke machine where you do your raps or whatever that other song was that you belted out here on the show. Maybe you give it to him someday, but not today, Skip. You're going to have to keep listening for the Grifka songs, Grifka rapping, and, of course, the Okrie versus Grifka arguments, which I never seem to lose. So, Grifka, what are we talking about here on a Friday, buddy?
Oh, it's the first thing, of course, man. We got to be talking about my boy, Big Play. Now, recently I was reading something that said that the talks between Slay and the Lions were going very, very well. And then it seemed like 2 hours later, I read a completely different article that said, that they weren't going so well, and it's almost like positive that Slay will be gone. And Slay's already told his children that there's a good chance that he won't be playing in Detroit next year. I don't know who to believe. Where's he coming from?
Grifka, as I often do when you ask me a question, of course I got to ask you a question or turn this question upside down a little bit before I answer your question. So I just want to get this straight off the top. I want to put the rumor innuendo to bed. Grifka, was it that handshake that has made Darius Slay not only the player that he is, but the multi-millionaire that he is and will be in the future? Is that really what it was?
I can't take credit for the multi-million-dollar part, but definitely the player that he is. Yes.
That's what I thought you'd say.
So yeah, just like I don't know.
Now you're asking me about Slay, Grifka. Like, this should obviously be a question for you. I mean, I'm the guy that made fun of him as a rookie and then sold his helmet on eBay that he signed for me. You subsequently have got 18 helmets signed from him every time we go to camp because you love this guy so much. I mean, if I have to speak on Slay, it's what I've said previously. Like, he's a football player. He's a good football player. He has a value. And, like, everything is clamoring that there's people that want him. Bob Quinn saying, like, yes, I've had trade talks. Bob Quinn is saying, he's not saying the 100% false with 3 exclamation points like about a quarterback that we have on the team. So the door is obviously open to move this guy. He's telling the kids that they're heading out. I mean, I think that's, I don't know where you got that. Maybe from that guy that calls you at 2 a.m. or Lions 24/7 or wherever you got that nugget of knowledge. But I think that big play Slay is just like, his time is up. It's just a matter if they will get the value. If they don't get the value, you keep him. And I would love to see him and Okudah teamed up, or him and a second round corner like my boy Gladney out of TCU teamed up to be a really good unit in 2020. But you know me, I'm not one to just let an asset walk or let somebody just complain and kind of carry on and talk about themselves and their money and not realize that, hey, everybody has a price in the NFL. I mean, I think that's pretty well known. I mean, I think there's somebody out there that said that even better than I could. I mean, that's what Slay wants, but I mean, Slay needs to know this.
Everybody's got a price for the $1 million man.
So, Grifka, that's me laughing, saying, like, if I get a second rounder, if I get some future assets, I'm sending Slay on his way. If I don't, you're going to play for me or for nobody in 2020, and that's what it simply comes down to. So I know you love the guy, and you'll just pay him whatever he wants because he's a good football player, just like you would have Antonio Brown, or on Wednesday you went on and on about Chris Jones and how you'd pay him because he was so good. All these people have value, and you don't have an endless budget. So that's my take on Darius Slay.
Okay. Still, I mean, I guess my thought is I don't understand where like all these opposing points of view come from. It's like I said, one article is like, oh, they're going very well, and then like 2 hours later, it's like, he's pretty much cleaning out his locker and being shown the door. So I don't know. Maybe it's the
before we get
Lions
to the next
24/7 I always listen to.
Do I have to educate you again on that? Like, it's lying season, Grifka. There's nothing, any of this crap we talk about is truth. It's just people trying to move the price up. Like, do you ever believe any of these GMs that go, well, I haven't even talked to anybody about any trades yet. Here we are, like, heading into the combine? Of course not. These guys are the biggest liars on the planet. So, like, of course you're going to hear one day, oh, no, we're going to get a deal done. Next day, oh, it looks like he's going to be traded. The next day, oh, I'm talking to his agent. Things are going well. The next day, Darius Slay's got his kids packing up luggage. I mean, this is what happens.
Yeah, it was like, they called up 2 men in a truck, and they're unloading the house right now, moving him to wherever he wants to go. So,
Grifka,
speaking of trade,
hold on. I know you're a big, big wig. You got the big office on the 10th floor, and just making big things happen. But you'd volunteer to be 2 men in a truck to help Big Play Slay move. You'd be moving couches and Mr. Slay. What else can I do for you? You know what you do? Right at the very end, before he paid you and thanked you for your day, you'd shake his hand.
Yeah, that way, so he'd still be a stud at the next place. Okay, you spoke about GMs making trades, and wasn't that quote recently by our GM Bob Quinn saying he's never seen a trade that he hasn't liked, but it doesn't seem like he ever really makes a trade, especially when it comes to there's that talk about Stafford being traded, but Bob Quinn came out and said, no, he's not being traded at all. So does that mean he hasn't seen a trade he hasn't liked, or nobody's offered a trade for Stafford yet? I'm confused by all this. How do you feel about Bob Quinn coming out and saying that?
Oh my goodness, I love it when Grifka's confused. Grifka, like the exact moment that I heard Bob Quinn said this, my response was simply this.
Bruh.
I was like, Bob Quinn.
Bruh.
Like, you're saying you have a trade, like you love every trade you see, and I'm like,
Bruh.
You don't make trades. You don't trade down. You don't even trade. All you do is trade up. I come on this show all the time and support Bob Quinn. Oh man, I think what they're building. I think he's had some hits in the draft. I also have to attack Bob Quinn and thinks that he goes down to the local Barnes & Noble and picks up the same magazine that Chuck Reeves gets for fantasy football, only this one is the draft magazine, probably by your boy Mel Kiper, Grifka. I know you still get that via the snail mail in your mailbox. Like, all he does, I think, sometimes is has 10 players in his head, and he just is going to get those players no matter what. And it's like, hey, Bob Quinn, hello. Like, there's other players in the draft. You don't have to trade up to get these guys that you just fell in love with or that your scouts told you were good. There's other good football players. So my message to Bob Quinn is like, how about you do something that I haven't seen yet and play the draft very strategically this year, and don't just sit and pick. Don't move up to get somebody that you love. Play the board, trade down, and realize that there's like 200 to 300 football players. So if you don't get this guy you love, there's probably 6 other guys that are pretty dang close to the same. You're going to be okay, buddy. So Bob Quinn says there's never a trade that he didn't like. I'm challenging him to finally do something like we do in fantasy football, which is actually hit that button that says accept on a trade instead of talking about it and then coming up to the podium and saying, we had some discussions, but nothing materialized. Yeah, nothing materializes because you don't live up to your word. All these trades that are talked about, you don't do. And you could say, oh, well, there's 2 partners and the other people don't want to trade. Well, then bring your asking price down so they will say yes, or take an offer from them that's not your favorite offer and get a deal done. Like, I'm telling you, Grifka, if he trades down once or twice in this draft, he can walk away with a killing. If he has the gumption to trade big play, or even, dare I say, trade Matt Stafford, like, it could be the greatest thing to ever happen to our franchise, but I don't buy it because I think he just talks to people and millies about, and then the days come where it's deadline time or it's draft time, and it's like, oh, the dang clock ran out. The old sand went through the hourglass, and now you standing there with holding the bag. Like, let's get a deal done when we're on the clock there at 3, Bobby Quinn. And if you love all these trades, how about you do a few more of them and do them moving back or trading a player to get some good assets rather than giving away assets and frustrating me. All right, Grifka, I'm done.
Okay. Like I said, hopefully he trades back, and I know if he's never made a trade that he hasn't liked, like you said, I don't know why he doesn't make more trades than what he does.
So, Grifka, you agree with me, and you repeated basically similar to what I said. Am I right there or no?
I agree with you a little bit. I don't know about just trading back just for the simple trading back and like not getting value. Just saying just to make a trade and make a trade. I mean, it's obviously, like you said, maybe he is asking a lot too high. Maybe he is, gun shy about pulling the trigger on something where other teams may be able to do it. But, I'm not saying that it's got to be the value in his eyes. It has to be what he's looking for. So just say make a trade for the sake of making a trade. I don't necessarily agree with you on that, but trading back, and as long as you get good value. No, I have seen other people have just done, other people put out there like on Twitter and stuff like, well, why don't we trade, was it like Slay and the 3rd pick to Miami for, their first 3 round picks and some other pick. And I'm like, I don't think anybody's going to do that. Now, Miami has a lot of holes. Why would they even make that trade? Sometimes people just think like no matter how much garbage you throw at a team, they're just going to take it. Because, you just give them all this stuff. It doesn't work that way. The old train robbery that, Jimmy Johnson did with the Dallas Cowboys and Minnesota Vikings, that's never going to happen again. So, you can jam as much crap as you want on a team. Doesn't mean that they're going to take it if they're going to give you a bunch of picks. So
Grifka, my Grifka bell wasn't working, so here you go. There's about 5 of them for you because I couldn't get to it in time, but I wasn't looking for the amazing insight you gave us. I was trying to get the gimmick of the okay, and yeah, you did repeat half I said. I never said just take whatever they're giving you. I said don't tell me that you love all these deals, but the guy doesn't get many deals done anymore. Like he's the guy that sits there in your fantasy league and wants the perfect trade before he makes the deal. Like most of the time I don't know, it's called compromise. I don't know if you or others or him knows that word, but it's like eventually you have to come to a middle ground so that you can get something done. And I feel like this guy doesn't do that, so he doesn't get players in here, and then he just comes to the podium and says, oh, we had some discussions, where here in the media he's saying, oh, I'm always open for business. Obviously you're not, because you're not getting many deals done while the Patriots, Seahawks, other teams make 2, 3, 4 trades basically every draft and get multiple picks. You're sitting there just taking the guy that you circled in January after the season ended, say, yep, that's my guy. Unless I'm blown away. It's like sometimes you just have to bend a little to get things done, and I feel like he's got some room to work there. Or prove me wrong, Bob Quinn. Do it in this draft so we can actually have some assets and make some things work. Don't talk about trade and Slay. Trade him and get some good pieces for him. It's just anyway. So that's what I was hoping for. I was hoping you'd agree with me, but now you got me all stirred up again. What else we got, Grifka?
Speaking of trades, the Lions did make a trade, was a couple years ago for Snacks Harrison's, gave him an extension, and now he's gone. He did tweet some stuff about how his time in Detroit, he thanked the fans. And we were talking about earlier that he was, not earlier on the show, but he thanked a couple coaches. Strangely enough, he did not thank, Matt Patricia. Do you think that this was all kind of a ploy with him, being I'm all beat down, I'm thinking about retiring? Because he did have a couple of tweets, and he seemed kind of happy to be out of Detroit now. What's your take on that?
Grifka, I'm looking at my Twitter right now because, Snacks have been responding to a couple fans directly, and so he feel like he kept dodging, saying anything directly about Matt Pat or Bob Quinn. So I shouted him out directly and asked if he had any direct words or thanks for him, and then said, respect to him, and we're glad he was he seemed like a Detroit type player and guy, and wish it would have worked out better after 2018, and thanked him for his blood, sweat, and tears. I don't think I don't have a response from the big fella, but it may come. He's been known to shout people out, so I was checking that out. But Grifka, I'm going to give you a couple seconds while I give my opinion. I'm going to cue up the conspiracy music. I want you to drum up a good Grifka conspiracy on what really went down in this deal while I give you kind of the nuts and bolts, what I think about it. Can you do that?
You want me to tell you what I think about what happened?
I want you to drum up a Grifka conspiracy so I can play the music and so we can have some fun with it. But I'm about to give you my straight up opinion. Can you
okay.
crank those gears in your head for a minute or two and come up with something?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So my quick take on Snacks is, without getting into the rumor innuendo and stuff, I feel like it's as simple as this. Snacks came here in 2018 for a 5th rounder. Everybody thought that was a great deal. He balled out. He transformed our defense. He made us a top 10 defense. Everybody loved this player. He's going to be the guy. 2019, injuries, circumstance, him want more money, whatever it was, he did not have a good season. He didn't play well. He didn't impact the team. He wasn't out there very much, compared to what other players or what a player of his caliber needs to be out there. So I feel like for whatever reason, at the end of the season, Bob Quinn, Matt Patricia just sort of looked at it and said, okay, we can either keep him around for the 11 plus million he's going to make, or we can cut him and take that 6-7 million and maybe transform the defensive tackle position. And I feel like they just decided that was a better value, as I often talk about, or a better decision to use that money in other ways rather than keep Snacks around at the high price that he was, knowing that you weren't going to get that type of return on it based on his play, his injuries, his mindset, whatever it may be. So I think it's just one of those strategic moves. I know I put it out on Carson Anderson. They ended up reading one of my tweets, and I just said, hey, they decided 6-7 million was better than what Snacks could bring him, and it's all going to come down to what do they do with that $6 or $7 million bucks. If it ends up going to a couple defensive tackles or corner or whatever, and makes our football team better, people will, call it a great move. If they don't do anything with the money, like where they've cut people in the past and just keep it for a rainy day, people are going to go, what'd you get rid of Stax Harrison for? You left a big gap in the middle of your defense and you didn't do anything to better your football team. Yeah, that's when people are going to be upset. But I think this is going to be another one of those shrewd moves that doesn't make a ton of sense on the surface, but is going to actually work out better in the long run once they kind of get the draft pieces and use this money to better the interior of the defensive line or other spots on the offense or defense with that dough. So that's my take. Grifka, can I cue up the music? You got anything outlandish for the people that we can have fun with?
Sure. Yeah. I think I was able to drum up something. See, I think what happened was that when he came here, it was a good draft, and he maybe thought, Patricia, Patriot way, bring it over here. But then he got here and he realized, I don't want to say, realized how hard he made them work, but maybe he just thought, he was thinking more of the, how'd you put it, the Caldwell, golf course or whatever. I can't remember how you always
Country
say it.
Club.
Oh, there it is, right there. Caldwell Country Club. So I don't want to say he didn't want to work that hard, but it's just, it's so strange how, end of the season he's crying at his locker. Oh, I'm all beat down, thinking that, and then it's only been really, a few months since the end of the season. All of a sudden, no, I want to play football again. We just don't want to be here though. It's just, I don't know. I just find that kind of strange. And all of a sudden he puts a couple tweets out, happy smiley faces, okay, so obviously you tricked the team into getting some nice signing bonus that you don't have to pay back, and you're not retiring, and hey, you're walking out the door with Detroit's money. So nice job, Snacks.
Yeah, good work by you, Grifka. That's a conspiracy I think you'd go with, is that he worked him for more money. He was beat up. He kind of did the retirement thing and then felt like he just wanted to maybe be in another spot. And sure enough, I think somebody, I was just before we were recording today, said he tweeted out some picture of this rapper getting out of prison. It was like, what is that? One of those cryptic tweets? Is he trying to say I got out of prison? Is that something else we don't know about? I don't know, but it's really weird that both parties would just mutually agree to get rid of him. But I think it was more of a management decision of he's not a young pup, so I feel like they probably said more like, hey, we want to move on. What can we work out? And yeah, he might go somewhere for a year or two and make plays, but it's just crazy how things fall off in the NFL. We were all on board with kind of getting this guy, making him happy, and thinking he'd be the stalwart in the middle for 2 to 4 years. And after basically a half season, he's done. It's crazy.
Yeah, he seemed to get old really quick with Detroit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do this. That's all I really want to touch on. Let's take a pause for the cause. Everybody, please listen to, please feel free to work with our sponsors, and we'll come back and break down the Giants and Raiders games.
Everybody, please join us when we get back, because I'm going to get Grifka to say at least one positive thing about this Giants game, because I thought it was a fun victory, good to watch. And then I got takes on this Raider game, watching it back. It frustrated me, made me happy, and also frustrated me. So we'll talk about all that right after the break.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Everybody, we're back here on a Friday. We're getting into 2 more football games. This will get us to the halfway mark, Grifka. Basically 8 weeks into the season. The Lions had played 7 games at this point, and they got the Giants coming into Ford Field. So this was a game that we both thought they could win. I remember pumping up the Giants before this game, saying you got to look out for their skill guys, and you were just killing them for how garbage they were, and I was kind of like, it might not be as easy a football game as everybody thought, but I thought the Lions played pretty good in this game and made it a a pretty comfortable victory. I know you'll find some negatives, but I'm also going to get you to find some positives of what our football team did here. So I'll throw a Grifka one out right off the bat. Horrible. I mean, absolutely just garbage. Charles, help me out.
That's terrible.
A terrible pick by Matt Stafford to start this game. We had a decent drive going, and he just threw it into double coverage right to the other team. I just wrote "ugh" here in big letters. I mean, that was terrible. But hey, Grifka, before I pitch it to you, how about this? An incredible sack by Jared Davis where he just green dogged and went right up the middle, killed the quarterback, fumble, picks it up. Devon Kennard, one of your other favorite players that I know you love to give praise to, our great linebacking core, for a scoop and score touchdown. What do you got to say about that, big fellow?
Are we talking about the pick or the sack and scoop and score?
I want your comments either on both, but more so the positive, Grifka. I'd love to know what you thought about Jared Davis' amazing blitzing ability, Devon Kennard's ability to scoop this ball up, dive in the end zone, get our team off to a nice start there against the Giants.
Yeah, well, first the pick, you're right. That was one of those, like we had mentioned before, kind of one of those noggin scratchers that Matt Stafford does. Makes you wonder, it was nice that they're once again trying to drive the ball down the field, but that was just a bad decision right there.
That's terrible.
Yeah, exactly. And then, yes, that was a nice blitz by Jared Davis. Once again, felt like I was watching, Dick Butkus out there, with some awesome blitz, and it was nice to see him, make a play and the scoop and score by Kennard. Which yes, I do like Kennard, and I like him a lot better than Jared Davis. But yes, it was a very nice play.
Positive comments from Grifka, everybody.
Woo!
All right, Grifka, what else you got in this game here early on?
Early on, my first point is, who is Trey Carson? Now, I remember Carrion got hurt in the game before against Minnesota, but Trey Carson, didn't they just sign this guy as he was punching a ticket on the way into the stadium? I thought he won tickets, on the ticket, from Carson Anderson or something like that, and he was going to the game, and they're like, "Hey, Trey Carson, we need a running back. You want to play?"
I think he's parked your car before, hasn't he?
What's that?
He's parked your car in the past, hasn't he?
I don't know about that, but I could have swore that he did actually, help me load my bags into my trunk at the Meijer, at the curbside service that they have. So,
Grifka, you know where I remember Trey Carson from? That's when you almost had that 300 game down there at the bowling alley.
Oh, that's right, man. He was working the Shino ball.
He was the nice guy that we chatted with. Yeah, that's right. That was a good guy.
Yeah, but he did show some flashes early on and made me think we almost had something there.
Man, who else did we almost have something with, Grifka, in the past? I mean, there's been a few of them.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest one I remember was Levine Toilolo. He was putting up T.J. Hawkinson numbers, and so all I could think was man, we must have something there.
I almost didn't want to give you a Grifka bell because you ripped Hawk there, which you're going to come around on him and then tell you, man, I told you so. I knew this guy was going to be good, and then everybody's going to laugh at you for decades. All right, Grifka. So
I never said he wasn't going to be good. I just don't like the pick at number 8. I can say that again and again and again. You think I hate the guy? You think I think he sucks? No, I don't. I just hate the pick at 8. I just don't like tight end picks in the first round.
Okay, and I'm going to continue to say over and over again, this is classic Grifka waffle maker BS, because what you do is you crush the pick and then you cover your butt and say, but he'll probably be good. And then every week when he's not good, you kill him on the show. You talk about how bad tight ends are. You say how garbage this guy, why you wouldn't have taken him, why his stats are so bad. And then when he's good, you go, I didn't say he wouldn't be good. And then I have to break out your sound bite to finish it out. Where is it? You're like, I told you he would be good. I mean,
it's duh. It's duh.
And then I go, hey, Grifka.
What the hell are you doing?
And then I end it with this.
That drives me freaking bonkers.
Ay.
Well, like I said, I never said I didn't like the guy. I just don't like the pick. That's what it is. And because you can find good tight ends in other rounds. Irv Smith, second round, who had a big game against Detroit and against Minnesota. So, hey, it happens. George Kittle, 5th round, who had a big game against Detroit the year before. Hey, so
I'm sure you would have taken him in the fifth round, or wouldn't you? He was right on top of your draft board there in the lazy boy.
I would have taken a tight end in the 5th round. Any tight end in the 5th round is fine. I mean, no problem with it at all.
All right,
no issue with that at all.
We'll see what you do this year in the draft when I force you to make picks, even though you'll be out on the teeter-totter. Grifka, let's talk about this game.
You're right. I'll be out on the teeter-totter taking care of my kids. Yep, bad thing. Anyways, so you mentioned the scoop and score. You mentioned the scoop and score. And I jotted down one thing that I thought the offense, once again, they, even though Stafford had to pick, that did not shy them away from continually calling plays, driving the ball down the field. And I really like that. And I really thought the offense looked really good all day. You mentioned the offensive skill positions for the Giants. Their defense, the Giants' defense, is lacking some playmakers. So I think Darrell Bevell really looked to take advantage of that, even though he did have the interception. Stafford did, go downfield a lot. Golladay, I think he went downfield. Him, was it Hall? Another one that he looked to go downfield. So I really like that aspect of the offense. That early in the year, midway through the year, they're still doing that. So I really like that.
Yeah, man, it's great to see. I mean, I have here 14 zip after quarter one. I mean, I'm sure you're waiting for the sky to fall. I've got here a great deep ball to Marvin Hall with 2:38 left in quarter one. That was sweet. Play action was good all year, especially today. Every time they went PA, went deep. I feel like people were catching footballs. And then I definitely had to write a Grifska-ism here in the show. Freaking Darius Slayton just catching balls over the top of our heads over and over again. I mean, Melvin, I think, I can't remember if it was your boy Slay or whatever, but Darius Slayton our guys are in good coverage, yet they have no idea where the football is, and he goes up and gets multiple touchdowns there to make it 17. I don't know if he had 2 TDs or he just had the one, but 17-13. I can't remember if they missed a point or whatever, but Lions up at half, a lot closer than most people would like. But again, you're not going to go and blow people out in the NFL. So I felt like this was a good half for the team, and they were holding down Saquon, and we'll get to him here in a bit. But overall, good half. Anything else before we dunk into third quarter here?
Yeah, they must have once again, they must have worked the air conditioning at Ford Field because, yes, they did miss an extra point. Made the score 17-13. And, yes, Slayton did have 2 touchdowns for the Giants that day.
This is the play you mentioned, Grifka. Quarter 3. I mean, these are the detailed notes. This is why I'm the workhorse of the show. Third quarter, 9:55 left. The absolute just one of the calls of the year by Darrell Bevell. I mean, showing a lot of onions. 9:55 left. We run the old trick-a-madoo, run the ball, toss it back to Stafford. Stafford has no laces, chucks the ball up to Kenny. Kenny walks in for a touchdown. I mean, gosh, we were pulling these out when we were winning football games. When we weren't, we were running up the middle in a cloud of dust and doing all that old garbage we used to do when we couldn't win football games. So that was tremendous. I have here, imagine this, 4:55 left. A goal line touchdown to a tight end. I mean, tell me if you've heard that before. That made the score 19-24, I believe I have here. And then... what do I have here? Sorry, I got that mistaken. The third quarter touchdown to Kenneth was the little toe tapper where Stafford put some air under it. He tapped the toes, got that in. It was fourth quarter, 12:20 left when we're barely up. We're only up 5 points when they ran the old Hoojamadilla to Kenneth Golladay and threw it deep. So I got those backwards, but two more touchdowns for number 19. I mean, I don't know if I've told you before, Grifka, but Kenny's my guy and balled out here in 2019.
Yeah, those were 2 really nice plays. Like you said, the toe tap one was really, really special. That's highlight film right there. And just to agree with you, Derek, that when they're running like those trick plays that, really, they just fool the defense, and it just helps that offense so much.
And we're not calling for like one a week. We're just saying like when you use them, you're getting results. So like don't be afraid to continue to mix them in or to call them at great times, because he basically was batting 1,000 on these things in 2019. They backed off it later, maybe because of who was hurt and whatnot. But Grifka, I only have a couple more bullets on this game. I have my boy Will Harris. Will Harris, I hate to do it to you, but I gotta I got a little sound drop for you on this play to sort of set the mood. Let me cue it up. Oh, Will Harris. You came up from your safety position and tried to deal with the guy. I don't know if you've heard him, but his name is Saquads Barkley. And Saquads put you in the ground, my friend. He stiff-armed you right into the turf. I think you went right past the rubber pellets in Ford Field and went right through the stadium into the ground, as they would say on Jim Rome. I mean, an absolute embarrassment for this guy. I felt bad for him. But Will Harris got put down. Saquads with a really late touchdown with only 1:23 left helped my fantasy team. So, again, I was happy, especially because the Lions come out with a 31-26 dubski. But it was really more like 31 to, 19 or, somewhere in that range. So, again, looks closer on the scoreboard, but a nice win for our Lions.
Yeah, that's one of my bullet points. Like I kind of prefaced it last game when we talked about the Minnesota game, but after rewatching these games and even during the regular season, I remember after watching this game, all I could think to myself was like, how good is our defense? Really, it really made me question how good the defense is. I mean, the Lions got up, but then Daniel Jones, rookie quarterback, has a day. He had good numbers, and you can bring that up, but you got to look at the warts of that team and how crappy the defense played all year. Even before, you've had your reasons why, but I mean, Daniel Jones had another big game against supposed to be, good defense, but it just really made me question how good our defense was. Yeah, the win was nice. I was very happy with it, but the defense just wasn't not that great.
Oh my goodness, Grifka. Can you do me a favor and just one time at least in 2020 when our team wins, just say what's good about the win and don't cloud it with some of that other stuff like, okay, they gave up some points. In my opinion, Daniel Jones showed out pretty well as a rookie other than he had a million turnovers. He put up points on us and we won the football game, bottom line. So I just never will understand it. Why he circled back to that after a nice dub, which again, we're not buried at this point. We still had Stafford out there. We didn't know about anything. So to me, this was a good bounce back victory as well as a team you should beat. And like I said, if you look at it the way I do on the show, we beat them 31-19 basically, or somewhere in that range. That's a nice win in the NFL, especially at home. Grifka, let's talk about that.
What was the final score of the game?
Grifka, it was 31-26, and I just told you that
okay.
Saquads.
I was just checking. I was just checking to see because your revisionist history of they actually kind of beat them this way. When I open up a media guide, it's going to say 31-26, and there's no asterisk Saquads Barkley scored a late touchdown. It's not going to say that. So it really doesn't matter. It's what the legacy of the game is. They ended up beating a very crappy Giants team, by 5 points. So
do you listen to the show? I went through all this already, that it was a late touchdown. It didn't matter. It helped my fantasy team, and it made the score bad, just like
we heard your fantasy.
Just like the Minnesota game. That's you again going back
it's
to the.
It's still a loss. A loss is a loss.
I looked in the media guide, and it said this. Well, obviously, there's other things that happen.
A loss is a loss. Moral victories just get you higher draft picks, and we're sitting at number 3 right now. But hey, they played all these teams really close. Congratulations.
This isn't a loss, you jabron. This is a W, and I'm just telling you it's a better W than it looks to a Tretch like you that looked at the scoreboard and says, oh, see, we only beat them by, 5 points, Okrie? No, Grifka, if you actually watched the game, paid attention, we beat them 31-19, but you don't want to admit it because you looked at the newspaper. Who looks at the newspaper anymore? And that's where you get all your amazing information.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because Saquads Barkley, whose touchdown helped your fantasy team, really didn't affect the score because he scored that with 0 time left on the clock and the Giants didn't have an opportunity for an onside kick or anything. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. When it helps your fantasy team is when it matters. But even though it's in the book where they beat a very crappy Giants team by 5, who they let a crappy team hang around But okay, that I guess I understand.
I give up people.
I can see your point of view.
I thought I'd be able to get a couple positives out of this guy and a Lions victory, but all he wants to circle back to is, well, they gave up some points, and that touchdown made a huge difference. After he scored the touchdown, they booted the ball out of bounds on an onside kick, and we ended the game with kneel downs. Oh yeah, real nail biter, Grifka. Was real worried after that late score. I thought we were gonna blow the game. I'm not like you, where I think, well, what's going to happen now to my Lions? Because they lost 30 years ago at the buzzer, they'll probably do it today. No, that's not how I think.
So if the Giants would have got the onside kick, you still would have thought nothing about it, though, right? Because the defense was playing so well in the second half. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but because I'm not sitting there.
According to Derek, they only gave up 19 points on offense. But even though they gave up 26 to a meaningless touchdown that helped his fantasy team, guys. There you go, fans. If it helps Derek's fantasy team, it's okay. But it's really meaningless. When they win the game. Oh, I'm sorry.
Grifka, I said it helps my fantasy team because it didn't matter in the football game, and so I could tout it because it's not like I said, it helped my fantasy team, but it beat my favorite team, the Detroit Lions. I'm starting to question if the Lions are your favorite team with some of this garbage you spew out here on the show. But no, this touchdown didn't matter. I mean, maybe go and actually watch the clip again and see that there was a minute left in the game. We kneeled on the football. It didn't matter except to you who's like, we're going to blow it because we're the Lions.
So the meaningless touchdown that Stephon Diggs scored against Minnesota, which helped your fantasy team, which you touted, that increased it to a 12-point victory. That was meaningless as well, though, because Detroit really only lost by 5. But
Grifka.
So I guess that's what it is.
First of all,
if it's meaningless at the end to put the game away, or it really doesn't matter, but it helps your fantasy team.
Let me know when
it's okay. I don't get why you refuse to look at the warts of a team when you're just continually touting them. Like I said, the defense wasn't that great. It hasn't played good all year. Go back. You wanted me to go back and watch the tape? I am watching the tape. Go ahead, man. Laugh it up, man. You want to talk about your favorite team? You need to take off the rose-colored glasses once in a while and realize really how good the team is or how good the team was. Go ahead. Laugh it up, man.
Oh my
Go ahead.
gosh.
You can talk now, man.
Grifka,
Tell me how great the defense was when we go into the Raiders games and Josh Jacobs just freaking runs wild all over them. Go ahead, man.
I will tell you that. We got to get to the Raiders, but I'm just laughing at your Vikings take because, first of all, Stephon Diggs didn't score. He got him down tight. Yes, that did help my fantasy team. Second of all, that touchdown was worthless because we were already beat at that point. They scored, and then we just basically kneeled on the ball, and it was over. And I spent all of Wednesday's show, if you would have listened, saying, a lot of people are going to say we got beat up by 12, 15 points, whatever it is. We really only lost by less than a score in the last 2 minutes of the game. Because why? Because I watched that with a knowledge, a brain, and 2 eyes, rather than looking at the scoreboard on my Sunday newspaper and my lazy boy going, we lost by 12 again. Same old Lions. That defense sucks. I'm sure that was probably more your take than mine. So we're always going to disagree with that because you're just this bottom line guy who wants to rag on the team. When I put my eyes back on this game, and let's get to the Raiders. The Raiders too was a game that we were winning early. We should have won. We choked it a little bit late, and it was a damn close football game where most people were like, see, the Lions were 3-4 with Matt Stafford. They were no good. We could have also been like 7-1 with a couple plays here or there if you would actually look at it that way. So go ahead, Grifka, kick us off against the Raiders. I want to hear all your negative stuff so I can put on my glasses and tell you why it wasn't that bad. Go ahead.
Okay, so the positive of it was that once again,
no, tell the negative. Go ahead. Tell me why we got beat up, just like you said we would on the West Coast by the Raiders. Pat yourself on the back and tell you how good.
Did they win or lose? Is it a loss?
They lost.
Is it a loss? Answer that question. Hey, bottom line, you're right. I'm a bottom line guy. That's what I do. I'm a bottom line. It's a loss. So you can look at it all you want. This wasn't a young team. This had established veterans here, and there was some nice young guys mixed in. You had a coach where it was supposed to be a defensive genius coach, brought in a new offensive coordinator. The offense was fine. This defense was freaking terrible. So if you went back and watched any of these games with if we would have had a play here or there, we would have won, but you didn't. You're still picking number 3 for a reason.
Okay, so don't tell me that we beat the sorry Giants. They put up points. What was that then? Grifsky waffle maker. That was a W then. So just tell me that was a good win.
Oh,
and
I'm
shut
sorry.
Your mouth.
I'm sorry. They let a pathetic Giants team hang around and almost win the game. But that's right. It was a late touchdown.
But there's
they
no
still could have got an
difference.
onside kick and
You're a
scored
black and
because
white
it's
guy.
happened in the
You're
past.
a bottom line guy. It's a bottom line business. That's a W.
You're right. It
I'm
is.
putting your argument against you. So
It is a what have you done for me
sounds.
lately? It is a what have you done for me lately business. That's what it is. It's wins and losses. That's what it is.
You just complained for
it's
10 minutes
it's
about
a zero-sum
win.
game. So to say like, well, we could have won.
God,
well, we might have
guy.
won. Well, if we would have had different things changed, we could have had this record. But you didn't.
Do you hear
didn't have
yourself? You're complaining about one thing, and then when I throw it back at you, you're like, yeah, they lost to they beat a bad team. Big deal. Like, you make no sense right now on both sides of the football. At least I'm consistent with
their defense. Their defense was bad that game. They had to score that many points to win.
Okay. I'm out of breath. I'm done. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, if I'm not going to be able to look at football games and say what actually happened, we might as well turn the mics on and go, well, they won this week. See you later, everybody. Have a good week. Next week, hey, we fell short. We lost 21-20. Take care. We'll see you next week on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Yeah, that'd be a great show, Grifka. Way to be a bottom line guy. Way to be a black and white guy. That really is not only entertaining, but that's using your brain. I mean, good stuff.
So you're just putting a positive spin on a really bad year.
I have 25 notes here on this Raider game that was, hey, it was a loss. It was a loss. Yeah, I have like 20 to 25 things here that I thought were noteworthy, that were both positive and frustrating. So don't tell me that it was just we won or we lost the game. That's all that matters. Because no, there's plenty that happened in this game that's not only worthy of talking about, but that you can praise our team, and there's some things you can go ahead and beat up on them. And it's all about, what do you want to do? Do you want to praise them, or do you want to, tell me every little bad thing that happened? And that's why we fight on the show, because you tend to say everything bad or focus that way, and you call me rose-colored glasses. Well, I don't know if you've heard, Grifka, but the name of the show is the Detroit Koolaid Cast.
Drink it in, man.
So yeah, serve me up
You're
that
right.
cornbread.
Cornbread!
And go ahead and tell me why the Lions suck. I can't wait to hear it.
They have 3 wins. I mean, come on, man. That's kind of obvious.
At this point, we are 3-3 heading into Oakland, and we beat Oakland for basically, 3/4 of this game, if not more, and we lost it late. So don't give me this revisionist what we know now. We're talking about the Raiders game. And yeah, I was happy after the Giants. You were, Daniel Jones tore us up. We go into this Raider game. I got here. Let me just go through a couple of my notes. My first note,
okay.
Fumble by McKissick, Matt Stafford. It needs a better handoff. There you go, Grifka. There's a critique for you since I never make those. Oh, look at my second bullet point. 7-0 Jacobs touchdown goes right through our defense. Oh, man, I wonder why a rose-colored glasses positive Lions fan would say something like that when all they do is puff up the team. I have deep play action here to Marvin Jones. Hell of a play. Touchdown Marvin, 7-7. 10-7 Raiders after quarter 1. Like, that sounds like a hell of a football game through 1 quarter to me. Positive and negative. Go ahead.
I actually had the same notes that you just had. But, I mean, you said all I did is focus on the negative. I just had the same ones that you mentioned. So, okay.
Yeah, because Grifka, there's good and bad things that happen in every game. But instead of, if I would have said it my way, I would have been like, the Lions came out, they had a good drive, but they had a bad handoff. That can't happen. I would have focused more on the drive and what we were doing than about what you said. Jacobs tore us up in this football game. Well, not really, because later in that second quarter, we had a deep PA to Kenny Golladay for like a 70-yard touchdown, which was tremendous to put us up 14-10. And then we ended up getting a crazy pick by Matt Stafford. I had to watch it 3 more times. I still don't know how the Oakland Raider guy plucked it out of the air with one hand. Jacobs then scores a touchdown. So, yeah, we're down 17-14 at the half. You can look at that like, how are we losing to the Raiders? I mean, 17-14. I'm looking at that. We're on the road. It's 17-14. We've shown flashes. And this game's tied up going into 3 quarters. I mean, what more do you want from me than saying what happened, the good, bad, and the ugly? But, yeah. of course I'm like hoping my team wins and rooting my team on. That's what I do. I'm not looking at this, how the Lions going to lose this game. What's going to happen next? Why can't we beat the Raiders? We're on the West Coast on a road game against a team that, yeah, I feel like we should beat. And yeah, I said wasn't that good, but we're in a dogfight heading into the fourth quarter. Go ahead.
Right. No, I agree with you on that.
Well, you know what we have to do when you do that? Grifka, before I talk about this Jared Davis sack again, do you got any nuggets for me? I can keep going. I probably got about 10 more bullets here if you want them.
No, because once again, I mean, Kenny Golladay had some nice catches, had a big game. But like we mentioned both often, that Detroit has difficulty covering the tight end. And Darren Waller had a big game for Oakland as well. He always seemed to be open. And whenever they needed a big catch at third down or something like that, they went to Hunter Renfrow, who abused our big play, the guy we paid big money for at our nickel corner in Justin Coleman. So, yeah, that was one of those things where, and I remember when we prefaced this game and I used the old East Coast team going west, and you made fun of me. I said they could lose, but you thought they were garbage and you thought those would, you didn't say it would be close. I don't remember, but I think you had like a 7-point victory for the Lions. But, that's one of those things where, like you said, we just look at it with different things,
Right. And
they have stuff if they want to be a championship team, they have to clean up some things. I guess that's what I focus on. You're okay with just as long as they outscore everybody.
Oh, those are your words, not mine. I do admit that, yeah, I did rag on you thinking they would go into Oakland. Well, how could they lose to the Raiders? Partly because that's what I do here on the show for entertainment value for the people and because you deserve it most of the time. And the other part because, yeah, look at my notes. I have the Renfrow touchdown as well as Darren Waller noted, but in bolder print and what I would have brought up for the people is an incredible sack by Jared Davis on a 3rd and 7, which got us the football back with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter where we should have been able to step on their neck. Matt Stafford came down with 5 minutes and 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter to answer Raiders touchdown with a beautiful ball to J.D. McKissick for a TD. That was absolutely scrumptious. And then, of course, yeah, I wrote it down here, and I wrote Grifka will definitely bring this up, the Hunter Renfrow touchdown, where he'll rag on our defenders and say they got beat by a slow white guy. I got that right here in my notes. And then Stafford with 50 seconds left, I have here, this is where he decided instead of running to the sideline or trying to get to the pylon or just get out of bounds, he turned it upfield and tried to run right over a linebacker and another guy converging on him. That's supposedly when he hurt his back, but when I rewatched it, he played about 5 more plays after that. Looked absolutely fine to me. I didn't see him wincing. I didn't see him grabbing the back. I didn't see any of that. And then it all came down to that third down play where, to me, it's on Darrell Bevell and just our lack of ability to be a tough football team to go with some garbage play action, roll out, fade away, throw to Logan Thomas, which I still thought there looked like there was PI when I watched it. There was a lot of contact and a lot of, questionable on that play. But of course, they just let it go, and we end up losing a nail biter. That's the game I saw. Yeah, it's a loss, but it felt like a hell of a football game. It's one that before we got kind of stalled out there, it looked like we were just going to go in and score a touchdown and win this damn thing. Like that's what I saw, or tie it up or whatever right there at the end. And I remember in this game saying, hey, if you get a touchdown the way we're rolling, I didn't know Stafford was hurt or know there's issues, go for 2 and just beat this team in regulation. Let's get out of here with a dubski. That's how my brain was thinking, and that's the type of approach I took to this game. And like I say, you don't think I hear it every day where people just, after that Raiders game, Lions were dead. Really? They were 3-4, and nobody knew our quarterback was down, and we played a bunch of really entertaining, back and forth, good football games. Okay, yeah, you can bang on the defense. Yeah, you can say little things need to be better, but if we got 8 more games of that, people would be looking back at 2019 going, that was a crazy Lions season. That was fun to watch. Wish we would have came out with a couple more dubs, but other than that, it would have been good stuff. But instead, now, because it was a bad season, you look back and just act like we had the worst defense in history. Our offense did nothing. This team's no good. We're picking 3 for a reason. Whatever else you said. And that's not the true story of what happened. That's why we're reviewing these games, so people can realize that for 7-8 games, This was a very competitive, fun team to watch that came up short a few more times than you'd like. Bottom line, that's what it was.
Well, like you said, they did have a chance to, pull it out in the end. And who knows? It could have been with the Stafford hit. Maybe he had some adrenaline going. You're loose from playing all game. Your muscles are loose, and it might have tightened up. After the game when your body cools down. So you're right. I mean, to say if it did happen on that play or not, it's hard to tell. It could have just been a number of plays during the game. He did take a few hits that game, so it could have just been the one that, for lack of a better, to use the cliche, it broke the straw that broke the camel's back. So, who knows? It just could have been one of those things that his back he felt it, after the game.
Grifka.
Try and win a game. You're full of adrenaline.
I hate to do this to you, but rewind that tremendous joke you did. It's not funny that our quarterback got hurt, but say that again for the people.
What, the straw that broke the camel's back?
Yeah, tee it up, though.
Oh, no, not to use it as a cliche, but, that hit, could have been the straw that broke the camel's back.
Oh, not laughing at our quarterback getting hurt, but Grifka, just endless zingers this guy has. Just an absolute tremendous humor that you bring to the show. Grifka, you also do this in the show, and I've just had enough of it for today, but you seem to do this every episode.
It drives me freaking bonkers.
So I just got to ask you this. You got anything else for the people?
Nope.
Oh my goodness, I thought you were going to hit us with another question or answer to the Wonderlick. Grifka, we got to get out of here, man. 2 more football games in the books. Lots of other hilarity. 2 good shows again this week. Everybody I know is drinking that Detroit Koolaid. The Combine is just getting underway. It'll be finishing up this weekend. I'm sure I will have takes on that. I'm not sure Grifka will watch or pay attention, but we'll be back next week talking about that. All types of other things. Who knows what might happen with the Detroit Lions in the next 7 days. We'll be here to talk about it right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. We're out.
Pack the bags, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.